Hello, everybody in RAH Band world. And today we have a special announcement of the release of the first single called Digital Native from the album Orchestron. Today we have Richard Hewson with us and Dean Williams to discuss this. I'll hand over to Richard first of all for this kind of talk about Orchestron and how it all came about.
Yeah, well, hello everybody, as you say in RAH Band land. And yeah, the Orchestronic project was something that came about between records. I think I had a sort of quiet period where I didn't get very creative on the RAH Band, as you know it, front. And I thought I might try something with all the kit that I've got behind. You can see behind me some of it that's been here since the 80s. And I wanted to make an album of just using the stuff that's in here with no extra musicians, just myself working alone with all the bits and pieces, the samplers and the old stuff that came out and the up-to-date digital stuff as well. So it's basically a totally electronic album.
So, Dean got wind of this, didn't he? What happened, Dean?
Well, as everyone knows, I was very honoured and privileged to be involved in the curation process for the two RAH Band box sets, which came out in 2022 and 2023. And part of that task was literally going through every master tape that was around and every DAT tape and every available source that we had for all the material. And whilst we had a sort of a draft track list for the box sets, and we more or less stuck to that after we located what we needed. Obviously, Richard was there experimenting, doing something different, something that didn't fit, the sort of normal style that we're used to with the RAH Band. So it was, but all of a sudden there was a few tracks that really stood out, and we sort of mixed them around a bit and changed the running order and different things. So we eventually curated it into what is going to be released in the very near future, which is nothing that anybody's heard before. They're all brand new tracks, which is very exciting because we're talking about the first new RAH Band album of full new material that nobody's heard before, and that's very exciting, I think.
Indeed. So, Richard, what do you think about this? New music for the modern world.
Well, I suppose you could look at that from that point of view. It hasn't got as far as AI yet, but I guess if we do any more of it, I'll certainly incorporate that. As we used it on a video recently, which you may or may not have seen, the Clouds Across video. And that was an AI project done by an animator. And I can see that I know there's a lot of dangers in it, but I think that it's got a lot to offer. Having seen this thing, I was amazed when I first saw it. Now that could be the future of totally electronic music like I said earlier that I was doing, and in a way, it was composing, but in a sort of different way from the normal way we do RAH Band stuff, which basically is song based with verses, chorus, intros, that sort of format. But with the Orchestronique stuff, it was more linear composing. It basically, I think I've said somewhere that it's a bit like working with an orchestra, but no actual real musicians. But if you can imagine all the different electronic instruments in an orchestra, the way you would paint a palette of colors using the orchestral tones, you would do the same with the electronic instruments. But of course, working alone, you have to do it one by one. So it's a funny way of composing, but may have worked, it may not. You'll be the judge of that. Yeah, that's how it was done.
I think one of the things that many RAH Band fans see is that each RAH Band album was completely different to the previous one. And, while some might think that this new album is a departure from the RAH Band sound. It isn't. It's that continued evolvement of experimenting with different sounds and using different instruments. But you can hear Richard's trademarks, you can hear Richard's work. It stands out a mile, even though the instrumentation's different. You know it's RAH Band, you know, and I think that's what's really interesting. And also because some of the tracks were recorded in different periods, but every single one of the tracks sounds like it could have been made a month ago, you know, which, you know, I think is what we, you know, one of the things that we always appreciate with Richard's work is that it was always forward, it was always looking ahead, and it was always looking at you know, new trends in how music was developing and evolving over the years. And, you know, even from the early days of the crunch with, you know, distorted guitar rhythms and things, you know, that was all new ways of working, which is, you know, what we've seen even up to, you know, the sort of mid-80s period where it was very synth-based.
Well, on that note, the first single, Digital Native, will be released on April 26th, and that'll be available on Bandcamp and through the usual streaming services. And there's a second single called Sea of Dreams, which will be released on May 17th. Then after that, in June the 7th, the full album is released on CD and digital. So just keep your eyes peeled and ears peeled, and we'll see you all soon.